Hello, guys. It's your favorite girl, Irene, and you're welcome to True Crime by Irene. This is sad. A Cameroonian lady by name Diane Nambe was found dead in her Arizona apartment. Guys, before I dive into this case, I would like to give a brief introduction to the parties involved. So, it is said that Diane met her husband, Dr. Professor Joseph Maturin, in Cameroon back in the 2000s. So it is said that they immediately got married and she bore a son. And immediately after the birth of their son, her husband had this opportunity to move over to the United States for greener pastures. When he got there, 3 years later, he brought Diane over and their son to live their American dream. Everything was going on smoothly and successful as they welcomed another baby, a bundle of joy, this time around a girl who is currently 15 years old. So they have an 18 and a 15 years old. So they have an 18 years old and a 15 years old, respectively. So they had 15 years of blissful marriage. That doesn't mean that they didn't experience some turbulences, right? For there is no home without ups and downs, but they could handle it by themselves. But for the past 3 years, it is said that their problem in their home has got out of control to the extent that family, friends, and everyone knows what is going on in their home. How did all this transpire? So, Diane's husband got an opportunity to work out of state that will fetch him more money than what he was making in Arizona. He had to lecture in a university out of Arizona. And the wife, being understanding and cooperative, led him to go, work out of state because that was a huge success to their family as the husband is going to be making much more. Little did she know that this opportunity is going to come with some setbacks that will even lead to the cause of her death. So when her husband went out of state, everything was good. Like they were in communication 24/7. He would keep them up to date in what he was up to at his new job and his daily routine. However, as time went by, the husband became entangled with a certain lady from the Bayangi tribe in Cameroon, allegedly. And this started causing a lot of distraction in his relationship with his wife. He was not calling as frequent as he used to call, and he had no accountability whenever the wife called. Like, he would not even tell the wife reason why he didn't pick up his call. Like, the guy was just, distracted somewhere else. So obviously Diane noticed that her husband had an affair, and so she tried to. So guys, when Diane noticed that her husband was having an extramarital affair, she tried her best for them to, try to get back in track like they used to be. However, all attempts met with death end. So, one long holidays, that is a summer vacation, her husband came over to Arizona to spend the vacation with them as usual. But he told Diane that he wanted to go to Cameroon, like to have a bond with his kids in Cameroon. And Diane didn't hesitated. She immediately signed her parental authorization for her husband to take the kids over for vacation. That would be a great way for them to bond together, especially for the fact that their dad works in another state. So when they got back home, Jen tried to reach out to her family to find out if her kids have come over, and they said no. But they were aware that they are in Cameroon, in Douala, with the husband's family. So, guys, this is where the confusion is. Some sources said that the husband took this kid to his girlfriend's place, and another source said that the kids were resided at his older brother's place. Both ways, I don't know what to say, but somehow the kids were with someone, either the older brother or the girlfriend. But this is what I think. I think the kids were with him at his girlfriend's place, and when Diane was informed about it, he later on gave his brother custody over them. That's what I think. So when their vacation got over, Diane's husband went back to the States. But when he got home, Diane didn't, see the kids with him. And Diane was like, where are the kids? That was when this guy said that, oh, I decided for them to, go to school in Cameroon. I want them to study in a boarding school and blah, blah, blah. But come on, this was not the agreement, right? He just said, I'm taking the kids for vacation. He never mentioned to the wife that they were going to stay back home to study. And even when he made that decision, he didn't still tell her until when he got back home. Okay? So guys, take note of some of these red flags. So Jan called her family. She complained about it. As you know, most African families, they always try to calm down the wife and like say, oh, don't worry, he's your husband, he knows the best for the kids and blah, blah, blah. So with a heavy heart, Jan accepted to stay home. So as time went by, Diane's husband went back to his base where he was working. Unfortunately for Diane, her health started deteriorating because when she went for her checkup, it was found out that she had fibroid and she was due for operation because the fibroid was already so massive. So the doctor asked her to call her husband for the husband to sign like a guarantor. Like each time you have to be operated upon, either spouse has to sign or a relative, whoever is available that is close to you. Jan called the husband countless times. However, the husband kept giving excuses that he was busy and he was going to come over, but as the days turned to weeks, her situation was getting more risky. So the doctors told her that they do not have enough time. She should look for the next available guarantor. That was when Diane thought of her cousin who stays in Canada. She called her cousin who moved over with her whole family to ensure that Diane's operation was a success. And after her operation, the cousin and her family spent some time with her and they went back to Canada. That was when her husband showed up after the operation was over. So Jan rebuked him and said, so if I was to die, you would have never been there for me and things like that. But you all know the husband kept saying, I was held down by my job. However, that's not an excuse because with things that are fundamental to your health or to your spouse's health, you can always take permission to be there for them, So after this operation, the vacation that came, I guess that was told her husband that she would love to go to Cameroon to spend some time with her kids, especially as her birthday was fast approaching. The husband said, oh, that's a great idea. And he even bought her a flight ticket. And Jan was surprised because they have not been in a good relationship for quite some time. But this man offered to buy her ticket, which he did. When Jan got back home, A couple of days later, boom, her husband also got to Cameroon. And when he arrived, he placed a call over to Diane, telling her that he would like his family to meet up with Diane's family in order for them to settle their marital dispute. So Diane, who always wanted to keep her marriage, thought that was a spectacular idea. She was so elated and she informed her family members. However, when her husband got there, he came there just with his friends and a handful of cousins. And that was when Diane didn't find that funny, because this is a marriage. And when they were getting married to her, this man came with his kinsmen, his uncles, relatives, staunch members of his family, that when it was time for them to do this, solve this problem, he just came with his friends and some of his cousins. So Diane told him that she doesn't think the husband is serious. The husband should come back with his kinsmen. However, this guy never showed up. The next call he placed over to Diane was that he was already in the States. And Diane was shocked. But she didn't care anyway, because she was used to his recent lifestyle. So Diane stayed some weeks longer in Cameroon, spent her birthday with her kids. Guys, this lady has been going through a lot of, marital problem, and so she just needed this break with her kids. So prior to her going back to the United States, she called her husband and asked if he was going to be there to pick her up at the airport. The husband said yes, he's going to be available to pick her up. So when Diane arrived in the United States, the husband picked her up, but while they were driving back home, she noticed the route or the route they were taking was not the usual route leading to their home. So she asked the husband, "Where are we going? This is not the road leading to our home." And the husband said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, we have to move out of that apartment, and currently renovation is taking place because I want to put it on sale." And Diane was so shocked, like, "We were both in Cameroon. You never told me that you want to put up the apartment for sales. You never told me you are moving out. Even when I called you, I was coming over. Even now that I arrived, you never said anything until when I had to ask where we were going to." But after a long flight, all what you need is a rest. So Diane just shoved that off her shoulder. When they got to that apartment, guys, she even became so furious because the area didn't defeat her. It was a ghetto. It was like she didn't imagine that her husband could choose an apartment at this particular part of the town. She made a video immediately complaining to her family and relatives, and friends, where the husband has took her to, and all what they said, "Okay, if the place is a calm environment, we suggest that you just take a rest, and tomorrow we're going to talk about it." And Diane, always being an understanding lady, accepted to what her relatives told her. She passed the night at that apartment, and the next day it wasn't said what they talk about it, but Diane told her husband that she wanted to go pick up her belongings from their home that was under renovation, and the husband said, "No, don't bother. When they're done with the renovation, you can go pick it up." Guys, that's another red flag, okay? Because I can move somewhere and my belongings are somewhere else. So for the sake of peace, Diane kept quiet. On a Monday, she called her mom and asked her of a particular recipe that she made when they were back home. They said this particular food was meant for diabetic patients. However, she was not diabetic, but she really loved the recipe. After the mom explained everything to her, the mom never got any feedback from her. She tried to call to know how her cooking went, but Diane never picked up the call. The mom became increasingly worried and decided to call friends and relatives to find out if any of them have heard from Diane. However, nobody had heard from her. They also told her that they have been trying to reach her countless times, but to no avail. That was when the mom decided to call her husband, Dr. Joseph Maturin, who said that he was out of state and that he was going to send his manager to check up on Diane. But then he never called Diane's mom to give any report if she has been found or not. So Diane's mom decided to call her best friend the next day. That was on a Wednesday. And the best friend said that, okay, I've been trying to reach her. We had to meet up on Sunday for me to pick up my parcel. However, I'm going to go there to check on her since she already sent the address to me. When this friend of Diane went there, she was shocked. She met Diane's husband on the stairway. And when he also saw this lady, he was embarrassed, he was shocked, he was taken unaware because he didn't know anybody knew this address. And because he has told them that he is not in Arizona, that was already a red flag for him. So the friend asked him, where is Dan? The man never responded. He uttered no word. And when the girl noticed it was getting out of control, she decided to call Diane's aunt, who placed a call over to the police, who came there and interrogated the guy. However, he didn't still utter a word. What he gave them was the keys to their apartment. And when they opened it, guys, that was when they met with the bombshell. They met the lifeless body of Diane lying on the floor, already decomposing. Some sources said that maggots were already coming out of her. Flies were all over the place. And guys, that is how Diane's life ended. Now the big question is that what happened to Diane? Because this doesn't look normal. There are a whole lot of red flags. Number one, from the time this man took these kids over to Cameroon without telling the wife his reason why he was taking them there. He claimed that he was taking them for vacation. However, he didn't bring them back. Secondly, when he claimed that he was coming over for a peace talk with Diane and he didn't come with his kinsmen, that's another red flag. It shows that he was not interested to make up, that he was trying to, wind time and also to make Diane to trust him, thinking that they were going to come back together in order for him to get closer to her and, unalive her. Thirdly, when he went back to the States, guys, he moved out of that apartment, rented an apartment in a ghetto, a whole doctor professor. Even if you want to put up your house for sales, at least there are more prestigious neighborhood where you can rent. He's a successful man. He's been there for a long time. The wife was a CNA, she was into caregiving job. However, this guy was successful. He was making quite, a huge sum of money monthly. That's another red flag, meaning that he didn't want to waste his money to rent an exorbitant apartment because he knew that he had a premeditated act and he knew that Diane was not going to live in that apartment for a long time. So he decided to go to the ghetto where the rents were cheaper. Also, when Diane was nowhere to be found, this guy was not worried. Instead, it's people from Cameroon that noticed that Diane has not been online for some time and she has not been reachable. I believe if something goes wrong with your spouse, the first person to notice is the other spouse, not other people. So that was already another red flag. And to crown it all, this guy made mention of the fact that he was not in Arizona when Diane was nowhere to be found. However, when Diane's friend got to the address she sent to her, she met this guy there with Jan's phone in his hand. He deleted most of the messages Jan sent to people as evidences in their troubled marriage. But he forgot to know that people already have these messages, okay? They were deleted on Jan's phone, but these messages were already on the phones of friends and relatives. So all of these, I think, were to clear up evidences. And why do you need to clear up evidences if your hand is clean? So all of this to me shows that it's a premeditated act, and thankfully the FBI is not going to take it light on this guy. Right now he's under police custody, and whatever update comes up, I'm going to let you guys know. I pray justice should be served for Diane. She was just a lady who just tried to have a successful home. She did nothing wrong. The only wrong she did was loving a man who didn't love her at all, who didn't deserve her. My condolences goes out to her family, especially her kids. I pray God gives them the fortitude to forge ahead. Now, ladies, I always say this, we all or everyone wants to have a successful marriage. However, not all marriages are meant to work out. A marriage is a union of two people. And if you always find one person fighting to make sure that the union should be successful, then it's no longer a union. It's just one person in it struggling to make it work out. If you're in that kind of a marriage, it's better for you to work out. I know it's not going to be easy because you have been used to living with this particular man or woman. I'm not talking only about ladies. And you people have built together. So it's really going to be hard. But then it is better for you to live alive than to live unalive. Presumably, if Diane would have left this relationship long ago, she would have been alive and sound. Because here is the case. This guy already had an affair in Cameroon, and I think he wanted to fight in for this lady. But for the fact that they are not divorced, and mind you, if he fights in for divorce, it's not going to be that quick, because they're going to put them together, find out the major issue in their marriage. If they see it's something that is solvable, they will try to solve it. That's how it is being done in the West. And if they see that it is unsolvable, they will give them some time for them to be under separation. And then before they start fighting, and the process is going to take a long period of time. So he thinks the best way out is for him to unalive her. So it's going to look like he's a widower, and now he want to get married to another lady. And boom, he will easily fight in for her. So guys, it is really terrible. Another thing also, it could be that he wanted to get insurance from her because he was no longer interested in a marriage. Maybe he wanted life insurance. After Diane must have passed away, there are a whole lot of red flags surrounding this issue. Okay, guys, and the worst part of it was that when Diane died, this man was fully aware, but he didn't inform anybody. That is a huge red flag. So, guys, before I go, I'm just going to leave a footage of the video when Diane was being, picked up from her apartment to the morgue. Okay, guys? Watch this video, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe to my channel, turn on your notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified whenever I upload a new video. Until then, see you on my next video. Bye-bye.